guys, welcome back to a brand new video. In this video I will be doing an election prediction for Andrew Yang versus Donald Trump. Andrew Yang is probably considered by most to be a long shot candidate for the Democratic nomination. He is polling around 2 to 3 to 4% and probably will not be the nominee, but if he is, hypothetically, we will be doing right now an election prediction with him versus Donald Trump, the incumbent president, for the 2020 election. So we'll start off by filling out all the safe states for the president, the incumbent president Donald Trump, by doing all of these states over here, and Alaska, as well as 4 of the electoral votes for Nebraska, which would give Donald Trump 125 safe electoral votes. Then we're going to go over here. Washington will be safe. I believe Oregon will be safe. Some people would say it would be likely. I believed it would be safe for Joe Biden, but likely for Bernie Sanders. But I believe it would be safe for Andrew Yang, just because of the candidate he is. Then we're going to go down here. I believe that Illinois will be safe. New York will be safe, obviously. Vermont, Maine's 1st District. And you've got Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, D.C., and Hawaii. And that would put Andrew Yang at 183 safe electoral votes and Donald Trump at 125 safe electoral votes. So now we'll start filling out the states that are going to be lean, likely, and tilt towards either candidate. We'll start off here with Nevada. I think Nevada could even be by a likely margin, but I'm going to put it at a lean margin. It is a state that went to Hillary Clinton, obviously, and Barack Obama twice. Donald Trump could have won this state, I think, if he had put a bit more effort into it in the 2016 election, and he will try to put in effort into it for the 2020 election, but I think Andrew Yang would be able to capitalize and get more votes in the places like the Las Vegas suburbs where Donald Trump is very unpopular. So then we're going to go down here to Colorado and New Mexico. I think he will win these states each by likely margins. I said in both my other predictions that Colorado would be by a lean margin for both Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden, but I think that if it was Andrew Yang, he's a very socially liberal candidate and has the right charisma that would want to shift a Colorado voter towards the Democratic Party. Some maybe that voted for Donald Trump in 2016. You have a Senate election here with Cory Gardner, probably against John Hickenlooper. That will be hotly contested for the 2020 election, but I believe in the presidential election, it will go to Andrew Yang by a likely margin. I think Arizona, with the first flip of the night, will go towards Andrew Yang. I believe that in the suburbs of places in Arizona, like the Phoenix suburbs and the Tucson suburbs, and Donald Trump is very unpopular here, so Andrew Yang would be able to harvest a lot of votes and turn on a lot of new voters with his character and things like with his plans like the Freedom Dividend and all of that. So that would be the first flip of the night for the Democrats and Andrew Yang. We'll go over to here down to Texas. I think Texas will go by a lean margin. Again, Texas, like Arizona and Georgia, which we will talk about later, have been shifting, trending towards the Democrats. I think that it's not time for the Democrats to win in a state like Texas yet. Although it does have 38 electoral votes, it would be worth it for the Democrats to campaign here. I don't think that enough money and time can be spent and put into this huge place to fund a campaign for a candidate like Andrew Yang. I just don't think it's the flippable candidate for Texas to turn it blue in this election. Maybe in the 2024 election with more trends and demographic changes, Andrew Yang would be able to win this state, but I'm going to put it now as a lean for Donald Trump, maybe by 2 to 3 to 4 points in his favor. Now we're going to go down here to Georgia. I believe that Georgia will also be by a lean margin towards the president. A lot of the African American voters here would just generally not want to turn out for a candidate like Andrew Yang because he's an Asian American and less religious, more secular, and maybe wouldn't turn out those voters in the same way, but he would be able to harvest more votes from trending demographics and the unpopularity that Donald Trump has in the suburbs of places like Atlanta and Savannah. So this state could, like I said, with Texas in the 2024 election, if he were to be the incumbent, could flip towards the Democrats, but in the 2020 election, I believe that it will go to lean towards Donald Trump. Now, Nebraska's second, we will put at a lean, and Iowa, we will put at a lean. These are both states that Nebraska's second went to Obama in 2008, and Iowa went to Obama in both elections. Andrew Yang is doing well here, surprisingly, in Iowa for the Democratic caucus, but I think when it comes to a general election, he wouldn't be able to get it close enough to the point where he is able to flip the state back to the blue column from 2012. But I think that he would get it closer to what Hillary Clinton did. Hillary Clinton kind of gave up on the state later in the campaign, and I think because of that reason, Andrew Yang wouldn't put too much attention into this place, and it's only 6 electoral votes. So I think that it will be closer than it was in the 2016 election, but it would still go towards the president. Then we're going to go down here for the second flip of the night. I believe that Florida, this will be very controversial and also very close, will flip to Andrew Yang's column for the 2020 election. Although Florida is now Donald Trump's home state, and he is actually surprisingly popular, he's hovering around a 50% approval rating in Florida. I believe that Andrew Yang would have enough manpower to flip this state back to the blue column. A lot of the Latino voters and the voters in city places like Miami-Dade County and Broward County would be able to push Andrew Yang over the edge for a victory in the state of Florida. This now puts Andrew Yang at 243 electoral votes and Donald Trump at 186. Donald Trump is not out of it yet, though I believe that he would be able to win North Carolina by a tilt margin like there is in Arizona and Colorado. There is a high-profile Senate race here. Like I've said, high-profile Senate races. These are going to be hotly contested, and they will be in the presidential election, too. In North Carolina, it's a state that's been shifting red for a number of years. It went to Obama in 2008, but then Mitt Romney won in 2012, and Donald Trump won in 2016 by a larger margin. I believe that it would be a lot closer than it was in 2016, probably within 1%, but I think when it's all said and done, Donald Trump will win this state by a tilt margin, probably less than 1%, like I just said. Now, if we go over to here to Virginia, Virginia is a state known for its establishment Democrats. I think that for this reason, Andrew Yang wouldn't do as well with those voters, but the state has trended blue, and because of that, Andrew Yang would be able to get many voters here that Donald Trump wouldn't be able to get due to the fact that he's very unpopular amongst the establishment. And even with that, Andrew Yang would be able to overcome it and win the election. So if we're going up to the Northeast here, I believe that Maine's 2nd district, maybe one of the closest districts in the country, will go to Donald Trump by a tilt margin, much closer than it was in 2016, where he surprisingly won it by a comfortable margin. Donald Trump would still retain the 2nd district but by a razor-thin margin. Andrew Yang probably won't put too much resources into this one electoral vote in the very northeast of the country, but I believe that it would be a lot closer regardless. Now, if we go to Maine at large, I believe that will go by a likely margin due to Andrew Yang winning Maine's 1st district by a larger margin than Hillary Clinton did in 2016, as well as him getting Maine's 2nd district down to a razor-thin margin. Now, if we go over to here in New Hampshire was the closest state in 2016 in terms of raw vote difference. I think that Andrew Yang, he has a lot of likability in the state like New Hampshire, the Northeast states, as well as the Midwest states, which we'll talk about later. But Andrew Yang is doing well here in the primary. New Hampshire is a state that could flip red in this election, but I think that if Andrew Yang were the candidate, he would expand his vote total to make it a lean state towards the Democrats and himself. And if we go over to Minnesota here, this would be the state that would put Andrew Yang over the edge and make him the 46th president of the United States, defeating incumbent Donald Trump to win the 2020 election. Minnesota, I don't want to say Andrew Yang's a weird candidate, but Minnesota likes weird candidates, and Andrew Yang is kind of an establishment candidate that isn't with the status quo of the Democrats. And so I think because of that, Andrew Yang would win this by a comfortable lean margin in a state that was very close in the 2016 election that would go to him in 2020. Now, just to put the icing on the cake for Andrew Yang, I believe that he would win all of these states by tilt margin: Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, and Wisconsin. These are states that all flipped towards Donald Trump from Barack Obama in the 2016 election after Obama won all 4 of these states both times in the 2008 and 2012 elections. Republicans have never won an election without Ohio, and obviously they'll put all the resources they can into winning it again. But I think that Andrew Yang's policies are directly targeted at helping people like farmers and truck drivers in these 4 states, the Rust Belt states that I guess you could say feel left behind by Trump's tariff policies and economic policies that he will be boasting about for his campaign at the 2020 election. And so this would put Andrew Yang at 336 electoral votes to Donald Trump's 202 electoral votes, which would make it an electoral landslide for Andrew Yang. He would be the first Asian American president, and it would be a historic day for the country to have a Asian American president and its 46th president. We will see how Donald Trump reacts to these results. But it will be a very interesting election. I think that if, based off of how everything's going now, with in terms of the economy and everything, this is how the result would be. Andrew Yang would win an electoral landslide of 336 to 202. And yeah, that is the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe. I'll be doing many more election predictions like this, as I've said before, and I will see you guys later.